or good evening, and welcome to the EGU podcast for awakening and emerging spiritual entrepreneurs. We're bringing global experts to you weekly to help you thrive. I am Michelle Reinhardt, Mindset, Energy and Healing Transformations, and the creator of Entrepreneurs Globally Unite online community. Today's guest is here to inspire you into a different way of expanding your life. This lady lives a life many would truly die for. How about getting paid to travel the world with friends, with colleagues and inspirational visionary leaders and get paid for it? If that sounds great to you, then you are absolutely in the right place. So turn off your zings and pings for 30 minutes and let us take you on a journey as I bring to you the retreat queen, Liesel Albrecht. Hi, Liesel.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks so much. I love being called the retreat queen.
I think we might have dubbed that on a blog. It was a blab, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah, it was. And it was just like, oh, that's who she is. And she's down my neck of the woods too in country Victoria. So, yes. Yeah. So today we're inviting you, guys and girls, into the amazing world of retreats, whether as a guest or a facilitator. If you're after a life-changing event, as I said before, you're in the right place. So, Liesel, share with us a little of your journey and how you lucked into this life of luxury.
Wow. It sounds really great when you say a life of luxury, and really it is. I was a social worker for 26 years. And in my holidays, I would organise retreats for young leaders. So young people in their young people, they seem young now, in their 20s. And they would come together for a week of sharing and learning and developing their skills. And that was also in country Victoria, in East Gippsland.
Okay.
And I really realised that when you brought people together and gave them a safe environment and held space for them, that people started to share and talk about the things that were going on in their lives that were holding them back. And from that very first one I did, which was back about 20 years ago, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I loved that feeling of being part of people's lives when they had those transformational moments. So I did those, and I organised trips for people overseas. I ran small groups to Bali, and then I started delving into running retreats just for women. And I loved being with women when they had those aha moments in their lives, when they stepped out of their ordinary into the extraordinary. And it might have been just for 3 days or 7 days, but it really was a life-changing experience for them. And I loved being part of that. So I was still a social worker, and then I realised that I was totally burnt out and couldn't do that anymore. And, stepped into running retreats full-time, which I love. Now I get to travel to, Bali, Vietnam, Europe, Mexico, America, Morocco, all these amazing places, and I just love it.
Oh, you're making me very, very jealous. Not only that, though, you've now stepped up and you're teaching others to do the same, which I think is unbelievable. Tell us about that, Liesel, because I think you've got a bit of a process to share with us today.
I do. I really love going on retreats, but I love teaching. And I love watching that ripple effect of other people going out there and making their retreat dreams come into reality. I had one woman I worked with earlier this year, and she talked about how she'd had this retreat in her head for years and she wanted to do it, and how by working with me she was able to get it out of her head and into reality. And she's doing a walking retreat at Lake Como in Italy in September.
Wow.
And it's just like, I don't like walking. I'm not an exercise person, but I was even excited about it and would have signed up if I could have been there in September. But the thing I find the most exciting is the process, that process of learning about yourself and about the people that you're wanting to take on a retreat. And I really find that there's a few key steps to doing that, Michelle. So really understanding your why you want to run a retreat and what it is you want to give to people. So often that can involve a bit of, delving deep into your soul and where you're at in business and what it is about a retreat that attracts you.
Yeah, sorry.
You're right.
I'm sitting on the edge of my seat here. So there's a variety of different retreats, yeah? You just mentioned a walking retreat. Now, I know that you've had a spiritual retreat in Mexico before.
Yes.
So people just need to really tap into what they are passionate about and then bring that to life.
Yep, exactly.
Beautiful.
I've seen reports, retreats that are anything from business retreats right through to craft retreats and everything in between. I helped a woman, supported her in organising a retreat to learn about quilting in the south of America, so down in the southern states. So anything that you're passionate about, there will generally be a market out there that would like to go on a retreat and learn more.
Fantastic. So do you source the experts to teach these skills in the locality, the chosen locality?
Yeah, often we do. So I personally work with different facilitators and different tour guides, I guess, in the locations I'm going to. So people get that, first of all, that connection to culture, which I believe is really, really important. And when you do your evaluations at the end of a retreat, often that connection to culture is one of the highlights.
Okay. I can imagine it would be.
Yeah. So you're taking someone, and I'll use Bali because everybody is taking retreats to Bali now. So doing something like knowing a local family or connecting with a local guide who can take you to their village and show you around and you can get to see how locals live over there is really a highlight of people's trips. Having a meal with a family, getting to talk with them, getting to sit with them. It's just a really beautiful connection of cultures that happens.
I can sense that, and I understand that completely. When I travelled, I spent 3 months in the Atlas Mountains in Africa.
Oh, wow.
And the kids there didn't speak English, and I didn't speak any French. So it was a fantastic opportunity to school the kids in the basics of English. And, of course, I came out very, very well worded in the French language and went on to work in France as a result. So I can understand completely how important it is for people and why they would love the cultural part of it, because that's what makes us all so uniquely different.
Yeah, exactly. And, even doing retreats in Australia, I did a weekend retreat this past weekend in Gippsland, and even just bringing in those components like welcome to country, and talking about the local Indigenous community and where their history lies and where the community is today, and also talking about how, here in Australia we're a melting pot of cultures.
Oh, yes.
And it just adds that extra dimension and helps people step out of their own worlds a lot more. I often see retreats that are overseas and all they do is stay at the villas or the hotel that they're rented, and they do all their workshops there, they eat all their meals there, and there's very little free time to go out and explore. And I think that really, this is just my personal opinion, it really takes away an element that can be so beneficial to any retreat.
Well, you can do that in any hotel, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. So people have hit their why. They've nailed their why. They know why they want to run a retreat, and they know what they want to give people.
Yep.
Yeah. So where do we go from there, Liesel?
Really important to know what your story is. So what's driving you? You know why you want to do it and where you've come from, but really thinking about what your story is, because even if you're running, let's say, a retreat on branding, particularly if you've got women there, women will start sharing their innermost stories. And what I've seen happen is if a facilitator isn't fully conscious of what their story is and how they deal with things, how they deal with trigger points. I know of a facilitator where a participant started talking about their sexual abuse experience and their story. And for this facilitator, she'd been sexually abused. She thought she'd dealt with it, but hadn't at all. And she ended up in a fetal position for 3 days.
Oh, my goodness.
And I know. And one of the other participants, luckily, knew her, knew the work, and could step up and take over. Now, I don't want anybody going on a retreat as a facilitator and having that happen, because it's not only damaging for yourself, it then tarnishes your reputation as a retreat facilitator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I talk a lot in my trainings about being really clear on your story, where you're at with it, what your backup plan is. If you're away and you know something's starting to trigger you, how you can deal with it.
Yeah.
So then there's little or no disruption to the actual retreat.
So you're OH&S rep as well, hey?
I'd never thought about it that way, but yeah, I guess so.
Well, yeah, it's important to have all these. It's what's it called? The list you do when you go through and you list all your pros and your cons, so that you know what you could be up against.
Yeah.
Exactly. You've just got to cover it all. So I like that you do that. That's really important, because we are as humans, and particularly right now in our world, as we are evolving and ascending ourselves in humanity, we are being rapidly asked to step up, and in order to do that, we've got to face the things that are challenging us. So, and you're never going to necessarily know when that's going to be presented to you.
Exactly. I know for myself, I had my own little eat, pray, love adventure when I turned 40, 2 kids in tow, and I travelled through Asia. But for me, that was that time of, dealing with my stuff.
Yeah.
And knowing I could come back with not a clean slate, but a clear slate.
Yeah.
Where I
good for you.
Could step up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So what would be the next step? I mean, and I know that you do actually host training programs for people, and we'll be sure to get the links to people in the show notes for that. To be honest, it's something that's been on my list to attend for some time, so that won't be too far away, I wouldn't think. But where do we go from there once we know what's driving us, and obviously we've got a backup plan?
Yeah. So you think of your where and your when you want to run a retreat, and who your ideal client is. So really niching down, why would they come on a retreat? What are their pain points? What do they love? What might stop them coming? All those things. So you know how to then market to your ideal client.
Yeah.
And that's a really important process. I had one lady at a training, and she'd been marketing this retreat for a few months, and it was a really good retreat. Like, I'd critiqued her website and gone through all of that, and it was a really great website. And we were doing the training, and she suddenly went, I've been marketing to the wrong audience.
Oh, dear.
And she had this really big aha moment that she, yes, her website was really one of the best I've seen, but it wasn't to the audience that she wanted to market to.
Okay. Yeah.
So being really clear on that is really important, as we all know in marketing.
Oh, absolutely. And with Facebook and our target marketing these days, you can really, really drill that down to put yourself in front of exactly the right people. Yeah. And I've found too, and I know you'll agree with this, there are a lot of people out there that feel they have to throw this great big fishing net out there to catch their potential audience, where in fact the finer you tune that, the greater your results will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And often I find with retreats that it's once they hone down on their ideal client, it's generally people just like they were. So, you know, often it's middle-aged women who are searching for something. You know, maybe they're newly divorced, maybe their husbands have never wanted to travel and so they haven't. You know, children have left home or they're living at home and completely, you know, independent and can look after themselves. Those women who are really searching for what have I done with my life and where am I going with it?
Yes, absolutely. And look, I agree completely with that. And I feel that our personal journey is and our purpose is tied up in our life story to date.
Definitely.
So it's you're on track. Wherever you are in your life right now, you're on track. And what you've had to go through to get to where you are is what you're here to help others through.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's once we realise that, we don't have to be at the end of our journey to be able to begin to lead others through.
Exactly. You know, if I could talk about in a sentence what my ideal vision is, it's that everyone would get to go on a retreat and continue walking the path of their destiny.
And the universe works in beautiful ways, doesn't it? Because you will find some extraordinary beings when you're removed from your busy day to day, when you get the chance to actually really deeply connect with others that have accidentally been put on the same retreat as you. Accident, because there are no accidents.
Oh, totally. And, you know, that was so evident on this weekend retreat. I had 7 women come and they ranged from the age of 20 up to 60. And just that instant connection was phenomenal, and that their stories all had touches of each other in them. So, you know, beautiful. One of my beautiful women who I've known since she was 14 and she's now, you know, in her 30s, had lost a baby during birth, and I had another woman that had lost her son in a car accident. So that connection between the two of them was strong and instant. Yes. Because of that common ground and that support that they could give each other was beautiful. Yeah. You can't manufacture that, can you? No, not at all. Not at all. And it's really hard to describe to people who have never experienced anything like that. Like, it's hard to describe that feeling on a retreat it's just there and it's instant because you're holding the space for them and they come together and that bond is like they've known each other for years. Yes. And they're sharing and, you know, there's often tears on a retreat, even if it's a business retreat. Yeah. All the walls come tumbling down. Yeah, they certainly do. And it happens every single time that you put particularly women together. It's just it's like someone sprinkles some magic dust over a retreat. And it's like, okay, now's the time to let your walls down. Now's the time to share. Now's the time to move forward. Yeah, I agree completely. I've been fortunate enough to have had the experience myself, and it's a remarkable opportunity to, as you say in your words here on your website, it's something that takes you away and sends you home different. Yes. Oh, that gives me goosebumps.
Because the truth is, when we are in our busy, busy day-to-day, surrounded by all the people that know and love us, it doesn't give us the opportunity to grow.
No, it certainly doesn't. And often we know when we start to grow, often those closest to us will go, hey, what's happening here? I don't necessarily like this. What are you doing?
That's a really nice way of putting it, Liesel.
Oh, I can think of some other ways, but yes, that's the kindest and the nicest.
I agree. So we know where and when and who is our ideal client.
Yep.
And then what's next?
So I would be looking at the itinerary and the program. So what you're going to do, what is it that you want them to walk away with? So you can include that in your program.
Yeah, beautiful.
And one really important key element of that is allowing extra time for discussions. So not being like, oh my gosh, this workshop needed to finish at 11:30 in the morning because we're going out at 11:40. We need to wind up this conversation because it's those times that conversations just happen that need to happen. So allowing that time for those conversations, and also allowing time for contemplation. If people, especially if you're doing a lot of learning, we all know we need to process that. So having that time where you can just go away, sit, soak in, have a nap if you want to. So that downtime. So making sure you're including that into your itinerary. And I'm a big believer of balance at a retreat. So having time where you can go and visit your local area, especially if you're taking people to overseas places or places that aren't familiar to home, being able to go and do some sightseeing, even if it's, a trip into town to go to a local coffee shop where they can have half an hour to wander around the shops, which doesn't take, you can, if you've got a really packed program, you can still instigate conversations at the coffee shop.
Absolutely.
But it's giving them that break to feel like, okay, we can leave and we can, breathe a little bit almost.
For sure. And that what you want people to get out of it will be different for everyone. And I'm sure that you've got a magic way that you weave that in through your training. I'm quite sure you do.
Well, I do. So usually the retreats I run personally are all self-development based and tapping into that path of your destiny and what it is you're here to do. So I then base all my planning around those things. I know exactly what I want them to walk away with. So then the workshops and any speakers that we have that come in are designed to deliver that message as well.
Yeah, the Dr. Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, you're potentially getting people to pay thousands of dollars to come to a retreat with you, and you want them to get exactly what you've promised that they'll get, because there'll be complaints if you don't.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Well, there will be, and there should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Walk away and come home different.
Yeah.
And then there should be complaints.
Yeah, exactly.
Which of course are just feedback mechanisms, aren't they?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now there's one, I'm not sure if you have your own final point, but something that I love about the work that you do and how you train people is to be sure that they cost their own journey in to the program.
Definitely. So the budgeting side of a retreat is so important. Making sure you include everything that you want to include for the participants, and then costing your time and expenses in. So costing in, your airfare or the petrol in your car to drive there, your accommodation in a single room, all your food, all your activities that you're doing with everybody, if you're taking them to a day spa and you've budgeted in $150 for them, then you need to make sure you've budgeted it in for you.
Yeah.
And then also on top of that, working out how much profit you want to make for your retreat, because there's a lot of hours before the retreat that go into everything that we've talked to, and things like designing the website, devising your marketing plan, posting on Facebook, talking to people about it. That's all time.
Absolutely. Time is money.
Yeah, exactly. Time is money. So working out a figure in your head that feels good for you, that you can put on to each person's cost so that you feel like your time is worthwhile. I often have people say to me, look, as long as my costs are covered, I don't mind. That's fine, but say you've got a 7-day retreat and it's 5 days in and you're so tired because you're mentally exhausted and you've been sitting up chatting till late and then you're up early.
Yes.
And you're really tired and you sit there thinking, well, I'm not getting paid for this anyway. That's when angst and I'm trying to think of the word, just being annoyed at the fact that you're there and you've done all this work and you're not getting paid. So really factoring in an amount that sits great for you,
Yeah, I agree. And also you said there a single room. Can you explain why it's important that the facilitator have a single room?
Most definitely. So you can get your own space. You're the expert on this retreat. Everybody is going to want a piece of you. They're going to want to sit next to you at dinner. They're going to want to grab you during free time. So you might not have a moment to breathe. But when you go to your room at whatever time you go to bed, then that's just your space.
Yeah.
I've at a retreat, some things happened and there wasn't enough rooms and I ended up sharing with someone, and it was someone I knew quite well, so that was okay. But it was about, I like to go to my room. I like to do, the bookkeeping for the day. I like to just write some notes and just relax. But then when you're sharing a room with someone, they're going to want to keep talking. It's like a slumber party then. So,
that's true. Yeah, I understand.
So
completely.
Important. And also setting those boundaries with the participants that when I'm in my room, unless it's life-threatening, please don't come and disturb me.
Yeah. Liesel, just before we recap those 5 amazing points, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just that, adding a retreat to your business can be a totally different dimension. And it's about making your retreat, and I always talk about the difference between lumpy custard and creme brulee. So many retreats out there now that you've got to make your retreat creme brulee. You want it to stand out. You want people to come. You want them to share about the experience they've had, so other people are then going, oh, wow, I really want to go on their next retreat.
Yeah.
And making yours the best of the best.
Yeah. I agree completely. There's a lot of noise out there.
There is.
And you need to really stand out and stand up so that people see you.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just recap. The first point was to know without a doubt why you want to run a retreat and what you want to give people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the second point was to be really clear of your own personal story.
Yes, so important. I cannot emphasize that enough.
Yeah, cool. So what's driving you? The real why behind that. The third point was when and where, and how, and the marketing side of things, where to find your ideal client.
Yes.
And to be sure that you're target marketing to that specific person.
Yep, totally.
Yeah?
Totally.
Beautiful. So the fourth part was the itinerary in the program.
Yes.
Knowing what you're going to do and having balance in that program as well.
Yes, for sure. That balance is really important so that your participants can absorb the information that you're teaching, and particularly if you're really setting the scene of stepping them up into something, then it's really important to have that downtime and that absorption time.
Yeah, the time to assimilate things and process it.
Yes.
Otherwise it doesn't stick. It doesn't anchor into the soul, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And they come home, and within a couple of days, you know, you come home from a retreat and nothing at home has changed. You know, you might have a partner or children or whatever, and they're all demanding the same things off you. And that might not necessarily be, you know, a negative experience, but nothing's changed. You go to work and your boss is still crabby.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you get annoyed because your friends are like, why would you want to go on something like that anyway? And so being able to carry that forward is and a lot of that's up to do with the facilitator too.
Yeah.
Of being able to give them the skills and support them to carry that forward.
There's a step here too that's just coming to me. The women or the people that you're going to meet on this retreat are going to be a part of your future. If you've had a life-transforming experience, these people will journey with you and stay with you. It won't be the ones that you left at home.
Exactly.
That are willing to step up and make sure that you keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And it's often women that meet, and men as well, that meet on a retreat that become lifelong friends.
Yeah.
I can think of two particularly that were coming to my very first retreats, and they were like 20, 21 when they first came, and they're now in their early 40s and they're still best friends.
Wow, that's amazing. That's good.
Yeah.
So the fifth point was the costs and the budgeting, and that's to not be underestimated. You don't want to go to all this time and effort and energy to feel like you've been ripped off.
Exactly.
And have it cost you money. That is not the purpose of it. That's not good business.
No, exactly. You need to be paid for what you're doing and the effort you're putting in, because you're right, it is a business.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that, Liesel. You have given anyone that's sitting there that's had a tingle, a goosebump, a nudge, whatever it is that's excited. If this conversation is exciting you, you need to connect with Liesel and let her help you do this.
Totally.
A program with Liesel will save you all of the headaches that we've discussed.
Exactly. You know.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. It's been done for you.
Exactly. And, you know, I often see, you know, people that lose money running a retreat because they haven't done it right. And I've done that. I've been there. And now I love being able to share what I know to others so they don't fall in those traps.
Absolutely. So, Liesel, briefly, because our time has gone off, and I hate that. We just sat down, didn't we? Where do people find you, and also your programs? Do you have something online that they can go to check out?
I do.
Tell us what
they go to my website, which is lieselalbrecht.com. Very easy to remember as long as you get the spelling right, which I'm sure, Michelle, you'll put up a link there.
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I have a few different programs. I have live workshops. So I run them at the moment in Victoria. I'm actually heading to London in July to run it. So if you're in the UK, and I'm in LA and New York in September. Yay, I'm so excited.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. But if you can't get to any of those, then I also have an online program which runs every second month. So the next one is in June, and that is a 28-day program where we have some online workshops, we have some one-on-one calls, and they get 10 modules with all that information on and a whole lot more.
Fantastic.
To be able to really plan a really solid and transformational and profitable retreat.
Magic. So what sort of cost are we looking at, Liesel?
So the live workshops all sit around $800, so it's actually really reasonable for 2 days.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the online workshops are $397. And then I also do mentoring calls, which are 90 minutes for $197.
Beautiful. You've got it all covered. So
I do.
I can just see you just journeying with people and getting excited. How do you not want to go on all of them, though?
I so want to go on nearly everyone.
Oh, I bet you do.
But, you know, partner and kids might not be too pleased. One more year.
Yeah, no, it's a bit hard to cost in 4 at a time, isn't it?
I know.
Well, Liesel, I want to thank you so very much for joining our show today. And I'd love to invite our guests to really sit and think about if this is something that you'd like to do to expand your world into a completely different arena. As Liesel says, retreats do change lives. Whether you're signing up for a life-changing journey or you want to run one yourself, you've now got a connection to do that, a flawless connection. And, they're not for the lighthearted.
No, not at all. If you don't feel like you can totally commit to something, then maybe just put it on the back burner until you feel you can, because it is a lot of work. Yeah,
and find one you want to go on first, and then go and experience it, and then decide whether you want to be the one that facilitates.
Yeah, that's actually one of the first questions I ask is, have you been on a retreat yourself? If they haven't, then they need to go on one.
Yeah, good plan. Good plan. So just to wrap it up, guys and girls, I always encourage you to imagine if your life was exactly where you'd like it to be, because we are here to remind you that you don't have to do this alone. The members within my community are very strong and are there to step up and support you. And the easy way to get where you want to go into life is to do it the fast way. When you do that, the universe conspires to assist in miraculous ways. So if you feel like you're ready to take a quantum leap and a bound in your life, you've got the connections now with Liesel, and you've also got access to me. You can find me at mindsetenergyandhealing.com and inside our community also online at Entrepreneurs Globally Unite. So again, Liesel, thank you for joining us.
It's been wonderful.
I'm glad. And guys and girls, that's it from us until next week. As always, I invite you to shine bright, superstar. That is why you're here. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.